Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Starkside. While you're here, I do appreciate it if you support the channel by hitting that like button, and if you're new here, please hit that subscribe as well as the notification bell. So today we'll be talking about the Marvel Legends, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3's GROOT. So here we have GROOT in the windowless packaging for Marvel Legends. So at the front, we get this movie logo for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And at the top, we get the team logo itself. On this side, we get a digital render of the figure. And on the other side, we get this nice artwork of GROOT. And at the back, we get another nice digital render of the figure, as well as all the accessories that he comes with. Alright, let's get GROOT out of the packaging. I'm GROOT. And here we have GROOT. So this review might contain spoilers for the movie, so spoiler warning for those who haven't seen the movie yet. But I've heard the movie's on digital already, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, what are you waiting for? Now before we talk about the figure itself, let's go over the accessories. As a deluxe figure, GROOT doesn't come as part of a wave, so we don't get any Build-A-Figure piece for this character. But we do get a lot of accessories for this figure. So GROOT comes with 2 pairs of interchangeable hands, a pair of wings, and this baby raccoon piece. And looking at the hands first, so we get a pair of fisted hands for GROOT, which look really good. So I'm liking the level of detail that we get on these. I really like how gnarly this looks. Same for the open palm hand, so I'm loving how detailed the fingers are on these ones. And the brown for both pairs of hands looks really great. Would have been a bit better if it were darker, but I'd still say this all looks like sculpted wood, you know. And taking a closer look at the wings, so seeing GROOT sprout wings during the movie was really something else. And I'm happy we'll be able to recreate that scene with this figure. So the wings themselves look awesome. Again, the brown being darker would have been great, but I'm still really pleased with what we get here. We get all these sculpted twigs and branches here with some green paint apps in some areas. That's great. I imagine it's also hard to properly sculpt the branches and twigs separately, and that's why we get some of these flat pieces of brown plastic in between the branches and twigs, and that doesn't really bother me that much, but just something I want to point out. Importing these in is fairly easy, so you put them together first, importing it at the back, and there, that looks really good. And lastly, we also get this baby raccoon piece here. So not sure if this is Baby Rocket or just one of the baby raccoons that they saved towards the end of the movie. But regardless, I'm happy that they included this piece here. I do have a minor gripe about it, and it's that the paint apps on this piece, they're not really accurate to how we'd see a baby raccoon, in particular in the face. So I think the light brown here around the nose should fade a bit upwards towards the dark brown, like here. And there should also be some light brown around the mouth, below the mouth itself, around here. And furthermore, I think the overall dark brown that we'd get here should have been a bit lighter too. And if it's not that obvious, this raccoon piece isn't articulated, but I'm fine with that since it's a really small piece. And looking at the figure itself, so starting with the head sculpt, this looks really good. I think this figure does a good job of capturing GROOT in action figure form. So I like the faint gold or bronze-ish paint apps that we get around his pupils and the eyes here. I think that's a really nice touch. And looking around, I'm loving all the sculpted details that we get here. So details that we'd normally see on actual wood, like these cracks and crevices all over the piece here. And also nice green paint apps too, you know, for the leaves. So I'm loving the head sculpt that we get on this piece. And looking at the rest of the figure, I think Hasbro did a fantastic job with this piece here. So personally, I love the idea of a muscular and swole GROOT. I've read somewhere online, I forgot who said it, so this idea didn't come from me, but as a plant-like species, GROOT absorbs energy from his surroundings, and maybe spending time with Thor and 2 celestial hybrids like Star-Lord and Mantis may have contributed to GROOT being swole in Volume 3. Anyway, we get a ton of sculpted details on the body here, so starting with the torso. I like how we get this sort of rib cage for GROOT, and it's got these sculpted details or moss here with the green paint apps. So I like that a lot. And we also get some areas with darker brown paint apps, like in this spot here. And looking at the arms, so these look amazing. So the shoulder pads function like the old Iron Man figures. So it's separate from the arm, and that's to help with the shoulder articulation. So I like that a lot. And here on the left arm, we even get the sculpted leaf here on this spot. But you might want to be careful because if it gets stuck on some clothing, it might chip off. And also, if you haven't noticed yet, we also get some sculpted wooden details here on the joints. So I do appreciate that Hasbro went the extra mile for Groot. And the back of the figure also looks awesome. Again, a lot of sculpted details. And we get this nice Groot butt here. Wow. Legs look really great as well. So a lot of sculpted details all over this Groot figure. And like with the arm, we got this sculpted detail here that's kind of sticking out. So I think this might be a twig rather than a leaf since it's not painted green. And lastly, the feet look really great. So for a character like Groot, I initially thought that they just sculpt his feet together with the legs and not make the feet articulated. So I'm really glad they went this direction for this figure. So overall, I think the sculpt and paint apps on this figure really are amazing. Now let's go over the articulation for Groot. So Groot can look up that far. I think that looks good. And he can look down all the way as well. His head does rotate, but we don't get any neck pivot with the figure, so that's a bit of a bummer. His arms can move upward that far, so that's at the 90-degree mark. That's great. And he can bend them down all the way as well. His shoulders do rotate 360, but you gotta be careful because the shoulder pad tends to get in the way, so you might wreck the figure if you're careless with this. He has a bicep swivel, single jointed elbows. His wrists do rotate and move up and down, so this wrist articulation is the same for all his alternate hands. He has a diaphragm pivot that allows him to move sideways, bend forwards, backwards, and rotate side to side. His legs can kick forward very far and not so much backwards. His hips move outward that far, so that looks good. He has a thigh swivel, single jointed knees. You also get rotation here at the knees. His ankles move up and down, and he has ankle pivot as well. Unfortunately, the wings themselves are not articulated, so it would have been great if they were. I think that offers more dynamic poses with the figure. Now for some figure comparisons, here's Groot next to the Hasbro Basic Teenage Groot from Infinity War, and I'm really liking the literal growth that Groot went through since then. And here's Groot next to all the Guardians figures that I have. So we have the Volume 3 Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, Mantis, Nebula, and Drax, and also the Volume 2 Gamora. I might hold off on getting the Cosmo, Adam Warlock, and Kraglin figures, but at least I have the core Guardians members that we see for the duration of Volume 3. And all of them together in one frame here just feels super great. And I think personally it's rare for me to get the entire team, like almost an entire wave. So I'm really happy that I did this for the Guardians, and I've got no regrets. So that's my review of the Marvel Legends The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3's Groot. So I think this figure has the right accessories, awesome sculpt, awesome paint apps, and great articulation. So yeah, I'm really loving this figure. And if you're wondering where I got this figure, so I got this figure from Rael Toys and Collectibles. So if you want to check that out, there's a link in the description below. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of this figure. Let me know what you think of my review. Please leave a comment below. And if you like this video, I do appreciate it if you support the channel by hitting that like button. And if you still haven't, please hit that subscribe as well as notification bell. You can also follow me on social media, links in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.